Hello and welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm your host, Morgan. This week, we need to talk about something going on in Florida. And I know that talking about Florida is never the most pleasant thing to do, but there was a near catastrophic event that had to do with wastewater in Tampa Bay. So let's get into this. So what exactly happened? Well, to really begin the tale of this whole event, we need to back up to Friday, April 2nd at about 6:18 p.m. Right now, you should be seeing the tweet on the screen that was sent out by the Manatee County Public Safety Department. And in this tweet, it details an emergency evacuation that was issued because of an imminent, uncontrolled release of wastewater at Buckeye Road and Bud Roden Road. So this imminent wastewater release is because a wastewater reservoir that was holding 480 million gallons of wastewater was threatening to basically burst and unleash a 20-foot wall of water onto the unsuspecting citizens. And this near catastrophe was sort of going to happen because there was a tear in the lining of that particular pond. And this tear in the lining was first reported on March 25th. But why is there this massive wastewater pond anyway? Well, the pond itself was holding wastewater from the production of phosphorus for the use in fertilizer. And the particular facility here has been closed for about 20 years, but the wastewater reservoir still exists. It's still holding that wastewater, or at least it was at that time. So to avoid that 20-foot wall of wastewater wiping out citizens' homes, what they had to do was pump 165 million gallons of this phosphorus and nutrient-rich wastewater into Tampa Bay. And so the water itself was a mix of seawater, nitrogen, and phosphorus. So again, very nutrient-rich, but still a pollutant, and 165 million gallons of this wastewater was pumped into the Tampa Bay, where there's a very abundant marine ecosystem. And this is currently an ongoing problem. As of the time of making this outline, and I believe still today when we're recording the video, for a little bit of reference, the outline itself was made on April 9th. There are 303 million gallons still remaining in the reservoir, and it's currently unclear if they're going to be able to stabilize this pond without draining the remaining wastewater as well into Tampa Bay. And some scientists actually believe that the remaining water is going to need to be drained, again, because that tear needs to be fixed if the pond is going to continue containing this wastewater. So what are the possible consequences of this whole thing? So according to Maya Burke, who's the assistant director of the Tampa Bay Estuary Program, draining the whole pond into the bay will be an equivalent of a year's worth of nutrient pollution. And this is a big deal because it could create what is known as a red tide. Now, what is a red tide, you may be asking? Well, a red tide is basically a massive algal bloom, and it can turn the water a reddish color, which is where the name red tide comes from. And the algal species here can produce toxins that will kill other marine life, and they also deplete the oxygen in the water. Now, we know that algae actually produce oxygen, but when they die and there's that decay, if there's a lot, the oxygen will be depleted, and that results in the death of other marine life and a dead zone being created that can possibly persist for quite a while. And red tides and dead zones are actually a problem in Florida, and they have been a problem for quite a while. So this specific spill now is just really accelerating that, because in one fell swoop, a very localized area is getting, again, a year's worth, or possibly getting, I should say, a year's worth of wastewater pollution. And again, this wastewater is full of phosphorus and nitrogen, which are nutrients for those algal species. And it's pretty much guaranteed that it's going to create some sort of problem. And likely that problem is going to be a red tide, especially if the remaining water in the pond has to also be pumped into the bay. So to kind of wrap things up a bit here, this spill was pretty much almost inevitable, and there are other wastewater ponds just like this one in Florida that need to be dealt with. According to my references that are linked down below, processing phosphorus for fertilizer, at least at one point in time, was a pretty substantial industry in Florida. So there are quite a few of these specific ponds still scattered throughout the area. And this spill just kind of highlights the need to deal with them and come up with a solution. So there's also a real potential for an ecological disaster in the coming weeks and months. And while it may not seem like a big deal for a dead zone to be created in a bay, remember that a lot of Florida is running on kind of a tourist or a fishing economy. So a dead zone like that is a big deal, because that is going to impact at least the fishing side of the economy, and it could trickle into tourism as well, as tourism is also part of fishing. People will rent boats, people like to go out and see healthy marine ecosystems. That's part of ecotourism, but it's a problem. Red tides are a big deal, and this event that was basically inevitable is likely going to cause another red tide and another ecological disaster. So hopefully this is going to spark some sort of action to protect the environment and avoid future spills like this one, and actually make something happen with the other ponds that are currently not being pumped into the environment and causing an ecological disaster. So again, Florida has given us some terrible news, and I apologize for the grimness of the subject today, but it's an important thing that needs to be talked about. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, afternoon, evening, what have you, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you again for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell if you would like to see more. And if you'd like to follow me on any of my other social medias, the links are down in the description below. Don't forget to check out thereptilegoth.com for all of my articles and blog posts. If you found any value in this video and you would like to help support the channel, please check out my Patreon page. That link is also in the description down below. And a special thanks goes out to my Diamond Dragon patron, Diane B. What you're doing is really helping me fund a dream here. I will see you guys all in the next one.